Hello, everyone. This is Kenny once again. All right, so today, guys, I will be talking about, I should say, a collection of data, right? You know how we learned about variables as like a variable being a kind of storage, a bucket that holds values, right? Let me just share my screen anyway. So if I had this variable one here, I could assign it a value of 5. But what if I wish to have a collection of numbers, a set of numbers, right? And I want to store all of those numbers in a single variable. So how do I do that? I need to create a container that will hold not just one piece of data, but a variable that is able to hold several pieces of data. And the data could be of different types. So you could have a bucket that holds numbers and strings at the same time. Okay, so one of such type of should I say containers is the list in Python, L-I-S-T. And today we shall be looking at uses of the list type of data in Python. Everything that to get you started with using lists, we shall be discussing in this video. So I'll go right into it, okay? Now, guys, let's see. I'm going to, discuss the features of lists in Python. And there are 3 things that we must understand about lists. The first is that the values or items in a list, elements in a list, are can be of different types. So let's look at a typical list. So let me just call this list 1, L1, and I will create a list by using a pair of square brackets. So I could have 1, which is an integer. Then I could have 1.5, a floating point number. I can have a Boolean value, true, and I can have a string there as skinny. So you see that I have 4 different types, okay, of values here. Specifically, these are both numbers, but this is specifically an integer and this is a floating point number. This is a Boolean, and lastly, a string. Now, all 4 pieces of data are collected and stored in this single variable L1. So this here is a list. I want us to take note of the fact that these values are enclosed in a pair of square brackets. So that's a list. Now, guys, I suppose we can see that a list is created, like we can create a list by using a pair of square brackets. So this is an empty list. So if I print this to console, L1, we'll see what we have. So that's just an empty list. Now, another way of creating a list is to use a constructor, a list constructor. That is something that is designed for the purpose of creating a list. So I don't want us to get into a very technical things at this point. So just use this. So L1, and I'll simply just make this way. So that creates a list, all right? So if I bring this to the console, I see that I still get an empty list. Now, what if I want to initialize the list, like give the list a set of values? So let me just call this L1 and this should be L2. So using the 2 methods of creating the list, declaring and initializing a list, I'm going to use the square bracket method. So this will be, for example, the first list. And second list now, we have numbers. Now, guys, let's take note of something. You will see that this IDE will give us like an indication that there's something wrong with what we're trying to do here now. Let's see, guys. So 7, 8, 9, 7, 8, 9, and 10 at this point, right? So if I try to print this to the console, that is L2, we should get an error message. So that's it. It says is expected at most one argument got 4. That shouldn't be the case. I need to do something about it. I need to collect all of these data values into one single unit. And I can do that by using another pair of parent round brackets. So I'm going to do this and this. Take note of the double round brackets there. So if I try to run this again, we'll see that no error is raised. So a list is actually created. So if I'm using the constructor method, please, I need to use double round brackets. Okay. All right, guys. So that's how you create a list in Python. Now, the next thing we'll need to look at now, as I said earlier, we've seen that a list can have different data types. So the next thing is that a list, the elements within it are ordered. How do we mean? They are indexed. So they take their positions. So there's one in a value in position 0. We'll start counting from 0. We've learned that already. A value or piece of data at position 0, another piece of data at position 2, another piece of data at position 3. So this value here, this first one is at position 0, this is at position 1, position 2, and on. So the values are indexed. They are positional, right? So that's the thing about lists. List items are ordered. The other thing, guys, is that in a list, guys, please let's take note of this. You can alter the list. You can change the values in a list. Do you understand what I mean? So a list is alterable. So if we'll see as I use examples to show these things, right? So let's look at getting the value at a particular position in a list. So how do I access values in a list? Since we've seen that list items take positions, like they take definite positions, they are ordered. So because they are ordered now, I can grab the value by using its position. So who is first in this class? I'm told Obi. Who is second in this class? I'm told Bimbo. So I get these students by their position. So the same way I can get the values in a list by getting or using their positions. So if I have, suppose I'm giving, say, okay, let me take this off and use the list here that I already have here, M list, right? Now M list at, say, position 0. And if I print that to the console, I will get a value. And I guess you know what the value is. That is the A. So this here in M list at position 0 returns A. At position 1 returns B. So let's see at position 1. What does it return? That returns B. Okay, so that's that, guys. So we can access a value in a list by using its position. Now, it may not just be a single value. Suppose I want to access a range of values, so not just one value, right? Say I want to grab A, B, and C in this case now, okay? A, B, and C. But let me store the new stuff. Now, new list, NL, and I am going to grab the values from M list. So this time I don't need a single value, right? I need a range. So I'm going to use in Python, we use colons to get the range of values. So suppose I have this now 0. Now that tells Python that it is to start grabbing the values from the beginning, the first index, I mean the first position. So that's 0 and 3 after the colon. Now guys, I need to explain something. This means the 0, the first, 1, the second, 3. I mean, this is position 0, position 1, position 2. These 3 characters will be taken, right? Now, position 3 here, these 3 here means that, oh, Python, you need to stop just before this position. That is position 3, because you remember you started counting from 0. So it's always a step before. That's what Python is going to take, the position before. What value is there? That will be the last value that is grabbed. So if I have 3 here, then it's not going to take any value at position 3. It will stop at the position before the position 3. So let's see, guys. If I print NL and see what it is, we'll see that a new list is created, and that's having A, B, and C. So that's how you grab a range of values from a list. You can access them and then grab them. Okay. Now, guys, another thing. Okay, what if I want to access a value from the back? Just grab the last one now. Just use a negative index -1 and then print NL. You see what that gives us, right? Okay, so 4, 5, and D. What do you guys notice? I have used a list within a list. So you can have nested lists. So one list inside another that will have a list inside of it. So this returns, since this entire list is a unit within this list, it will be returned as the last value in my M list. All right, I hope you understand it. Okay, so that's that, guys, about accessing list items. What if I want to change values within a list? Now that brings us to the next thing. I want to change the values, right? Update the values. How do I do that? Great. Now, guys, I want to take M list. And I want to change this value here at position 1, you know, counting from 0, 0, 1. So I need to change B. So position 1, any value at that position should be given a value of Z. So when I print M lists afresh, if I print M list again, I will see that Z will replace B. Let's see if that's the case. So you see that it's now A, Z, C instead of A, B, C. That's how you update or change values in a list. Now, something else. What if I want to replace one value with a set of values? So whatever is the value at position 1, I want to replace with, say, 2 characters. So Y and Z, for example. I will create a list. And then have those items in the list Y and Z, right? So Y and Z would be Y and Z will come at this position where I have B currently, right? So it will now be A, Y, Z, C. Let's see, guys. So you see A, Y, Z, you know, just like that. So now, what if, guys, I want to change a range that is, say, B and C to a single character. So I'm going to use the colon there, slice. So position 1, that is B, to position 1 and position 2. So that will mean I will have position 3 as the value here, 3 here. So that will grab 1 and 2. Then change the 2 of them to just Z. So B and C will be replaced with Z. Let's see if that's the case. So you see, no more B and C. Instead, there is Z, A, Z, that way, and on and on and on. What if I wish to have 2 values replace 2 values? So I can have this Y. So Y will replace B and Z will replace C. Let's see if that is the case. So we see A, Y, and Z. Instead of B and C, we now have Y and Z. So that's how you play around. Just play with lists, like changing the values within the list. Great, guys. Haven't seen how to change values within a list. Let's now talk about adding. So we're not changing this time. We want to add to a pre-existing list where the values already present are not altered, but we simply add values to them. So guys, quite easy, right? Let me take mlist2. mlist2, and I want to add something to the list, a single value to that list. I will use a method, a list method. Now, once you have a list and you hit the dot in Python, it brings you methods, list methods that you can use. So I need something called append, the append method. And it takes an argument there, the value that I want to add to the mlist2. So this should be mlist. I want to use mlist2. So what value do I need to add to it? I want to add, say, 100. 100, right? So if I print, now the thing about append is that it is added at the end of the list. Okay, so I will run this and we see that my mlist2 now ends with 100. So 4 was the previous last number. Now the last number there is 100. Okay, so that's how we can add to a list. Now, another way of adding to a list is to use another method called insert, right? I can just simply insert a value. So doing this now, insert, and this time I should say 205. Insert 205, right? You see that it indicates right away that there's a problem with the program. So how do we use the insert method? Now for insert, you need to provide, instead of say giving us the value, you provide the index of the value that you want to, you know how you want to add a value. So using insert, you have to give the index, where should that value be added, at what position should the value be added. So if I want to add 205, say in this position 1, where I have 3, currently 0, 1. So where I have 3, which is index 1, I will have 1. Then the second argument will be the value itself that I want to add, right? So let's run our program and we'll see. So we see 7, 3 was the list previously, and now it is 7 and 205. So that's like a difference between the append method and the insert method. Using the insert, you have to provide the position where the value is to be added. Okay, all right. So now again, guys, what if I want to say add a list, a new list to a list that already exists. How do I add list to list? Now I'm going to use the append method. So let me say list mlist 2b now, the second mlist 2b, and I want to add say 400 and 500, right? Mlist 2b. I want to add mlist 2b to mlist 2. So how do I do that? Now I can use the append method. Append and just give this new list mlist 2b, provide mlist 2b as the argument, right? So mlist 2b will be the argument for that append method. And if I print mlist 2, we'll see what it returns. So we see that 400 and 500 has been added. Okay, I hope you understand that, guys. So, but yeah, what if what if I wish to use some other method? Okay, what method can I use? Another way, not actually a method. I can simply just use the concatenation operator, the plus sign. So I will simply have mlist 2 will simply be mlist 2 plus mlist 2b. I hope you understand. So let's see what that gives us. So I hope we can see that the mlist 2b has been added, right, to mlist 2. But there's a difference. It takes the values separately, like individually, and adds them to the mlist 2. It doesn't take the two of them within the list as a list, unlike what we got when we used append. I want us to understand that. Now, okay, let me even use the two. mlist 2 becomes this, and let me also say mlist 2 dot append. So I should give mlist 2b as the argument. So let's run this. All right, so we see that for this first one, this append method, we had a list, a list container added to the mlist 2, right? And again, when I now use the concatenation operator, the values were taken from mlist 2b and added to mlist 2 as individual items. So that's the difference between using the concatenation operator and using the append operator. Now, one other way of joining or adding list to list is to use the extend method, right? So I'm going to wipe this up here and wipe this off here and use the extend. Let's see, extend, and I'm going to extend mlist 2 by the second list there, mlist 2b. Do you understand? So let's see, guys. So again, this is quite like using the concatenation operator. It takes the values within the list mlist 2b and adds them separately as separate items to mlist 2, not bringing in a list within a list. So that's it. So you can use the concatenation operator or you use the extend operator. But if you want to have the list, the second list placed within the first list, then you can use the append method. All right. So guys, that's that about adding. What if I wish to remove items from a list? How do I do that? So the name, the word is remove, right? So I'm just going to use the remove method. Remove items, use the remove method. So let me take mlist2. mlist2 dot, it's a method. So remember the parentheses there. And what do I want to remove? The value itself that I wish to remove, not the position. So the value itself. So in this case, I wish to remove 10. Now remove 10 from mlist2, this 10 here. And let's see what that gives us. So it goes from 6 to 4, you know. So 10 has been removed. That's how we use the remove method. So that's one way. But guys, what if I don't know the value? I just want to remove the value by its index. So I know the index, I don't know the value, whatever value it is, just take it out. Just give me the new list. That's what I need. I know just the index, right? So I can't use remove that instance. I would rather use some other method, and that method is the pop method. So in this case, now I'm going to use pop, or the pop method there, and provide the index. So I've given index 1, right, as the argument, and this here is 0 and 1. So index 1 is 3. So 3 will be removed from mlist2. So I'm sure that will run from, that will go from 7 to 20. Let's see. Yeah, so all right, guys. So it goes from 7, and then the next is 20. 3 has been removed. So we use the remove method when we want to remove by value. And then we use the pop method when we want to remove by index. Okay. Now, what if I do not use an argument in this pop method? Would there be an error? Of course, there won't be an error. What is just going to happen is that the last item will be removed. If I'm using the pop method without the index, provided, the last item will be removed. All right, so let's run that. Yeah, guys. So you see, after 10, nothing else, nothing. 4 has been removed. That's because I use pop without an argument, no index specified. It takes the last index, removes the value at that index. All right, so that's that, guys. Now I might choose to clear the list. That is, the list should still exist, but there shouldn't be any values in the list, right? So how do I do that? There are times when you're working on a project and you might have need to clear out the items in the list so that you can repopulate that list. So I would simply, just very, very easy, guys. You need to clear out the items. So use the clear method. So that's quite easy to remember, right? It's descriptive enough. So call the clear method or use the clear method there for mlist2. And if I run mlist2, you'd see that mlist2 still exists, but it is now empty. It wasn't empty, and then I use the clear method and it became empty. Okay, so guys, that's how you remove all elements within a list. Now, guys, what if my aim is not to remove the elements, but to destroy the list so it does not exist anymore, right? How do I do that? Great. Now I'm going to use a keyword. I'm going to use a keyword in Python just this way, del, which is delete. But we're not going to spell that in full. It's called del with space and the list that you want to destroy, mlist2. Now we already know that there's an error, right? Because it's highlighted here. That shows me that that list no longer exists. So let's run to see. You see that an error is raised there. Name mlist2 is not defined. Who says it's not defined? I defined mlist2 here, right? But Trying to use it now, I'm told that I cannot because it doesn't exist. That's because I deleted it, I destroyed it. Right. I hope you understand, guys. So that's how you use the del keyword to remove that. But there's another use for the del keyword. It's like, okay, when I wish not, and it's not like I want to destroy the entire list, but I want to destroy an element within the list. So that's targeted destruction, right? I will use the index. So in square brackets, get the index 0, 1, 2. So at index 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, right. At index 3 within the square brackets, destroy whatever is there. So that's why I'm using the del keyword. So let's see what is removed. I'll run. Yeah. So guys, you see how it goes from like 7, 3, 20, 55. So where is 9? 9 is gone. That's because 9 lies at position 3. 0, 1, 2, 3. At position 3, whatever is there is destroyed and the list is returned. That's it, guys. So that's how you remove and delete items or delete the list entirely. What if I want to, let's look at loops now. I want to iterate over the items in a list and perhaps do something with those items. Can I loop through a list, items in a list? Sure, you can, guys. So for my purpose here, I'm going to use a for loop, right? So now let's use a tracker variable now there, that's I. For I in say mlist2. For I in M, remember guys, yeah, I did this video, there was this lesson on the membership operator. So please go through the playlist and try to watch that video on, there are 2 videos actually on operators, okay? So you get quite sufficient understanding of operators in Python. So you understand what this in is used for. So for I in mlist, so every value will at some point be stored in I. Every value in mlist2. So at that point, just print out the I, the value of I. So let's see now. So print I. So I'm taking the items one after the other and printing them. So let's see. So guys, you see, that gives us 7, 3, 20. So it's possible to loop through the items in a list, right? Now, talking about using lists with loops, there's something in Python called a concept called list comprehension. It's like using a loop, going through items in a collection, right? And doing something with each of the elements. So I could do that with a list and with a for loop or a while loop. And I can also do that with a list comprehension. Let's look at the syntax, guys. So suppose I want to return the square. I want to have the square of each of these numbers within mlist2. But I don't want to use a loop. I mean, I could do that with for I in mlist2. Print I multiplied by I, right? That shouldn't be an issue. Let's see. So it just takes that value, squares it, and returns it. Okay? So 7 is 49, 3 is 9, just the square. I can do the same thing using a list comprehension. Let's look at the syntax, guys. So I'll create a new list because whatever is returned is stored in a new list. NL, call it new list, NL. And create my square, use square brackets. And I'm going to have my expression there. then with space. Now the loop part of the list comprehension. So for I in mlist2, right? So for I in mlist2, take it, and then what do I want? In this case, I don't want, okay, I'm using I, not X. So I'm going to call this I. I don't just want I returned. I want the square of I. So I times I. So this will be returned if, as it loops through each of the elements within this list. I will be taken, squared, and returned in a new list. So if I print NL, I'll see that I get practically the same thing. Now this is returned in a list. So 49, 9, 40. So guys, I'm doing what I can do in a loop in a list, list comprehension. All right. So, but guys, what if I want a condition, I want to test before I return, right? So I'll take I. So return I only if a condition is met, is true. So again, I can add the condition part of it by simply saying if, right, I is greater than say 54. If I is greater than 54. So what happens is that it's going to test, takes a value, the new updated value of I, as it loops through all the elements. So if I is, say, 7, it checks, is 7 greater than 54? If it's not, it just discards it. But if I is greater than 54, it now takes it and returns it in a new list. So let's see, guys. All right. So we see that there is only one value that is greater than 50, that is greater than 54, right? Now let me try this. What if I wanted to just take only the even numbers? So that would be I modulus 2. That's it. So provided that I modulus 2 is 0, that is, the remainder is 0 when I divide by 2. I divide I by 2. It has a remainder of 0, that means it's an even number. So if that number is an even number, then please return it. So let's see. So you see that only even numbers are returned. That's how you use the list comprehension. Now, finally, still talking about the list comprehension. What if I want to get the else part of that condition, right? If it is not true. So let's see. In this case now, guys, I'm going to do something. I'll come right here before the loop part of that list comprehension and have my if block. If I is greater than, say, 10. If I is greater than 10, right? That's just it. Then, guys, I would now have the else. Else I. Or let me say, just for the fun of it, let me have this I multiplied by I. Now you'll be wondering, what is this? Guys, I will explain this. Now, it's going to check as it loops through, takes each of the values, right? Each of the elements within the list and stores in I. Then to ask, okay, is that value greater than 10? If it is, then just simply return the value. But that is the else. Now, if it is not, then double the value. Just double it. So you see that any number that is not greater than 10 will be, I mean, not double, sorry, the square. I need to correct that. Please, so it's going to check. If that number is not greater than 10, then it's going to square it. That's the else part. So let's see what is returned. So it checks now. Okay, 7 is 7 greater than 10? No. So square it. That's why we have 49. 3 goes next. Is 3 greater than 10? No. Square it. Then it takes 20. Then it checks. Is 20 greater than 10? Sure. Now the else block will not be executed. So it just simply returns that value without squaring it, right? That's why I still have it as 20. So 20 returns as 20. So that's how we use the list comprehension. I might do a video, another video, to fully explain list comprehension in Python. But I think for our purpose here, I think we're done with that. Right. So guys, let's look at using the copy, the join. All these are methods. So I don't think I want to just include this. All these are methods in all these are list methods, right? Copy, join, count, and we'll see how they are used very quickly. So if I have, say, mlist2, I can copy what is there, so it takes no argument there, and have it as, so I can take this one off now, mlist2b. So mlist2b. So mlist2 will simply be duplicated and a copy is stored in mlist2b. So if I print mlist2b, I'll find everything that is in mlist2. Let's see if that's correct. So we see that we have everything there, now transferred, or a copy is saved in mlist2b. All right, then let's look at the join. Oh, sorry guys. This here, I wrote this just remind myself of what I want to do. That is just join lists together. So I'm not going to use that join there. No. Now let's look at count. Now the count is used for this. It tells you how many times an element occurs within a list. And I need to mention that you can have duplicate items in a list. So I can have 20 again, right? So 20 occurs twice in mlist2. So if I have mlist2 count, now what do I want to count? The value, please, not the index of the value itself. Now the value I want to count here is 20. So that is stored in this variable called ans. So let's see what's in ans. So we see that 2 is returned. It then means that 20 occurs twice in this list, mlist2. That's how you use the count method. And lastly, we have sort. Yeah, guys, sometimes you want to sort values, say alphabetically or by the number of characters, the length of the string, you just name it. How do we do that? Luckily, there's an inbuilt method, list method called sort in Python, right? So I'm going to use that. And the thing is that nothing is returned. The sorting is done in place if I'm using the sort method, right? So just sort this way. If I sort mlist2 and I run this, oh, sorry guys, this should be mlist2. Yeah, so if I run mlist2, I see that it's been sorted now in ascending order, 3, 4, 6, 7. All right, guys, what if I want it sorted in descending order from the largest to the least. How do I do that? Again, luckily, we can do something, in Python. We use a kind of sorting argument, which is called the the reverse argument. So reverse there will be set to, the default is false. So, but that will be set to true. So setting reverse argument to true means that the elements will be sorted in descending order. So now we see that it goes from 55 to 20. Now, what if I want to, this time, let me take mlist 3. Mlist 3, and I wish to sort, right, by the number of characters in each of the values. So Ada has 3 characters, whereas John has 4 characters, Kola has 4 characters. I wish to sort by the number of characters. So I'll simply just have the keyword there, the argument there, key, and that will be len, simply len. Len is a method, right? So it's just going to sort by the length of characters. Again, that should be 3. All right. So let's see. So, so you see, guys, 3, the words that have 3 characters come before the words that have 4 characters. So that's why you have Kola and John coming, last. Right. So that's how we use the sort method. Now, guys, I'm going to do something again using the sort method. Now, if you look at, say, Kola and John, I want to sort by the second. Okay, let me take this entire list now, all the values. I want to sort by the second character in each of the elements. So Ada is an element of this list, right? I want to sort by D and by A, so not by the first letters, but by the second letters. How do I do that? So Python allows us to create our custom functions that can be used as the value of an argument, right? So instead of providing len as the value of this key argument here, I can now just create a function. So let me just call this my func, which I haven't defined yet. So I will then do that here. So define my func. All right. And bring it down. And what do I want now? It will take, you know how, okay, as we are trying to sort character after character, value after value, Ada, Ray. So it takes Ada and it looks at, so Ada will be this, in our function, Ada or Ray or Kola will be this N. So N is placeholder for Ada or Ray or Kola. Then it takes each of those words and it takes the second character, that is character at position 1, because it counts from 0, 0, 1. So what character? So it takes N, which is like Ada, and grabs the character at position 1. So at position 1 in Ada is D, at position 1 in Ray is A, and so on and so forth. And it simply returns it. So when it returns it, it will now use it as the criteria for sorting. That's what it's simply going to do there. Okay. So, sorry guys, let's see what's it saying. Okay. Oh, return. Okay, so that's that. Return whatever is like in position 1 for each of the words in that list. So using that now, the sorting can be done. So let's see, guys. So we see that Ray R shouldn't be the first word. So there must be something. That's when you realize that the sorting has been done based on what the second character in each of the elements are. So A first before D, and D before F, and F before G. So the first character doesn't matter. It's sorted based on the second character. So we defined a function for that. And it is the function becomes a value for the key argument. Okay? Right, guys. Now, what if I want to sort using based on two criteria? That is what I have as the second character and the third character. In other words, character at position 1 and character at position 2. Because at this point, let's look at it, guys. So I have O at position 1 and O at position 1 here. So then if I come to the next character after O, I have L and H. But that's not what I want. I want this thing completely sorted, right? So H should come before L. So if I'm counting now, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L. So H should come before L, but that's not the case here. So I want to sort by character at position 0, position 1, and character at position 2, so that H can come before L. Now that poses a challenge, right? That's a challenge. So thankfully, there is a module in Python that we can use. And that module, so I'm just going to comment this, it's called the operator. Now from the operator, we can grab the item getter. We grab the item getter here. Okay, so that's what we're going to use. Now let's see the use of the item getter. I want to sort mlist3.sort, and for that I'm going to give the value of the key argument, right, as the item getter method. Let's see how it's used, guys. So key is item getter. Very simple to use. And what items do I want to get? Item at position 1 and item at position 2. So it's going to sort based on these two parameters. Item at position 1, item at position 2. That's what it is, right? So if I return mlist3, I'll see that really H should come before L. So we see now, John now comes before Kola because H comes before L. So others are sorted, but where you have, so there's no problem if in two or more elements, 2 or more words, you have the same letter at the same position in that word. So O is at position 1 and O is at position 1 in both John and Kola. So the two of them should lie at the same level, but then I can still check again to do some further sorting. And that means that I need to check the next character in each of them. So the next character in John is H and the next character is L. So which one should come first? H should come before L. So I'm going to grab the character at position 2 and then do the sorting. That's why we have John and Kola. Right. So guys, thank you for listening. I think I we'll stop here now. I hope you learned a thing or two about lists in Python. We will be building projects, much later in this course. And what we have learned from this will help us in very easily, manipulating or creating our application, our Python applications, as we build projects. Thank you, and I'll see you in my next video. Remember, guys, to subscribe. Just hit the subscribe button for more lessons on Python for beginners. And then you can visit my website for Python videos, Python lessons that will challenge you. I have videos on problem solving. Watching those videos, you challenge yourself, you rack your brain to come up with solutions to real life problems. And you can go to www.thetutoraid.com.ng/python.php. So that's it, guys. www.thetutoraid.com.ng/python.php. All right. See you guys, and do have a wonderful day. Bye.